Hello, this is the video analysis about the articles in the topics related with data analysis and data interpretation. Um, I will talk about the three articles focused in two main issues. The one of the issue is of the issues is the it's about how they are answering the research question. And the second one is how transparent or clear are the process of analysis that they are showing. Then with that on mind, I will show you each of the articles. I will share my screen to show you the articles. This is the first one. This is the first article. As I present in previous videos, this is about debugging behaviors of early childhood teacher candidates with or without scaffolding. They begin since the abstract saying that it is critical to teach all learners to program and think through programming. But do so requires that early childhood teacher candidates learn to teach computer science. This in turn requires novel pedagogy that can both help such learners, such teachers learn the needed skills, but also provide a model for their future teaching. In this study, we examined how early childhood teacher candidates learn to program and debug block-based code with and without scaffolding. This is important because it is limiting the scope of the article. And in another part, they state the research question saying that how do approach to debugging vary between early childhood teacher candidates who were provided debugging scaffoldings during block-based programming and those who were not. This kind of work rests on the assumption that they will be teaching better if they learn how to manipulate those objects. So they are learning to program and the debugging in programming. So that's they are what they are talking about. And the analysis items began with data collection. In data collection, they say that in the second and third weeks, participant actions and dialogues along with the computer screens were video recorded while debugging given programming tasks. For participants from course section A, responses to scaffolding prompts during the debugging activities were also collected. A sample of scaffolding sample scaffolding prompts included restate hypothesis 1, challenge made to test hypothesis 1. Why did you choose to make this challenge specifically? And what happened after these changes were made? Following the completion of the unit, participants were interviewed for 20 or 30 minutes using semi-structured questions. This is important because they are showing here that they are doing mainly two actions. One is about their debugging and following the tracking, the screen, what they are doing given the prompts. And the other one is about what is their perspective. Their perspective about inquired about in a semi-structured questions like a semi-structured questionnaire. And that's where the analysis is talking about. And they say that after multiple rounds of coding, three authors independently aggregated preliminary findings to generate salient observations supported by evidence from coded excerpts. Next, two other authors reviewed in vivo files and salient observations and discussed coding and coded data with each of the three authors individually. Then the three authors went through revisions in their coding again independently, and one of them finalized all the coding. Finally, qualitative themes were crafted jointly to subsume salient observations and merge from data from describe participants' debugging experience with or without scaffolds. They show us in a very little transparent way that they are showing how are those performances with or without the scaffolds and how they are coding and different steps they are following and coding. And I can judge, so we can judge that they are following a little straightforward and clear and transparent process. Uh, they show along the article their main themes that they are getting and how they are supported in different dialogues, different screen captures, and different, as they are showing here, along all the analysis that they are presenting. And they, at the end, they are, this process allows them at the end to say that summary, that table that is the summary of findings that they are all that they are showing in many parts with many different excerpts and verbatim excerpts that they were showing, but they here they make a summary, and this summary says that in the first finding, the presence through debugging using scaffolds, strategic scaffolding structure and problematize the debugging process through 4 phase debugging activities, promoted hypothesis driving the debugging, promoted perceived controllability, enabled through alternative hypotheses, justified prompted tasks to promote expectancy for success, and model example proposes to scaffolding prompts. In second finding, or like in the second theme, they find that productive struggle facilitated through synergy between scaffolds and the instructor. Scaffolding offered of multiple opportunities to search for errors and strategies for reading before writing, and why and why not the questions. They are showing that this process, showing them what are the points where they could advance and where they are points where they find difficult, and how they began to solve and face that solution of the problems that were presented. And collaborative reasoning for debugging, they say that scaffolding provided promoted question prompts, why and why not questions, and reflective debugging. Debugging not just as an random action, but more directed by those prompts, is what they said as one of their big conclusions. And the trial and error embodied debugging, scaffolding provided no parameter for specificity in hypothesis in scaffolds, and no prompts related to hands-on problem solving with multimodal effects. There is still some trial and error, but they is not something that they planned, but they say that it is interesting because they show that even when they have to approach with a non-structured way of solution, they try to find solution anyway, and they enable them to work independently more than when they receive no scaffolding, because it prompts there to consult more to the professor in order to find solution when finding the problem. Um, and this is at the end of this article. It is a very straightforward processes in the analysis. Maybe the only question that we can say is if they present something about positionality and the role about the unstructured questions, however, that they are playing because most of the energy is about the analysis of debugging and prompt, and that's a question that is still for that article. And this is why that article, the way in that article is presenting its qualitative analysis. I finalize my screen sharing here to show the second article. In the second article, I will share my screen again. Is this? And this is about the preschool teacher preparation and views in preschool STEM activities. This is about a program where they receive some preparation about some STEM activities, and they receive some open-ended questions in a questionnaire about how is their experience, how they are perceiving about what they are advance, and how they perceive that they are topics where they couldn't advance also. And that's what is that article about. We can see, for example, that they say, since they are describing the study, that this study provide a 80-hour STEM teacher professional development program to participants to enable them to develop STEM-related professional skills and then elicit their views on the program. This study is important because we believe that the program will be a foundation for STEM education that will be provided to preschool teachers in the future. It is important also because research focuses more on primary, secondary, and high school teachers' views of STEM education. But there are very few studies that investigate preschool teachers' views of STEM education after providing them with initial STEM training. This is important because they are locating the scope and how the problem is feeding the kind of study that they are proposing. However, this study provided participants with a professional development program, allowed them to perform classroom activities, and then asked about their views, what we were talking about. This is what distinguishes this study from others. The aim of this study was to determine preschool teachers' STEM classroom activities, classroom observation, lesson planning processes, problems and evaluation strategies, and methods that were using during class. In this context, the main research question was, what do preschool teachers think about STEM activities? This is the guidance that will show what would be the orientation for the activities analysis that they will presenting. And they say that in the instrument, they use semi-structured interviews were conducted to determine participant viewing STEM activities during class. The 10-item preschool teachers interview form was developed for interviews. It says that they present that as an instrument, but they are talking about they made observations, they made lesson plans also. It is a little bit intriguing why they didn't use those tools also, because they could inform also, and because this is in the literature about this topic and more recent literature, they use many tools like those. So because it's important how teachers are actually constructing their activities. So it is still a question why they decide just with the questionnaire. But anyway, the questionnaire is done with that research question anyway. They presented the answers, the summary of answers, and the grouping of answers they obtained from that questionnaire. And they say the main conclusions they draw from that answers. They say, for example, the views on importance of STEM education were grouped in the categories of skills, career choice, and teaching of concepts, a total of 12 codes. Participants stated that STEM education helps students to develop critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity skills, increase their interest in STEM-related professions, and taught the basic concepts of STEM field. They present in the article that summary, and they show you a reference to a table when they present in detail the codes that they were using. That is important because it is a straightforward, clear presentation of the results. So in the second, for example, they say the participant views of target skills of STEM activities were grouped under 4 categories consisting of 10 codes. Participants state that they valued the like to use STEM activities to help the student to develop problem solving, creativity and innovation, entrepreneurship and self-direction, technology literacy, scientific process, and observation skills, which are some of the 21st century skills. In the third question, they say that participant views of the challenge lesson planning were grouped under 4 categories consisting of 9 codes. They stated that they had difficulty preparing lesson plans due to different reasons, such as lack of content knowledge, materials, and resource. This is important because they say that they developed the professional development program addressing that point, but they are saying that teachers don't get that point. So this is intriguing. What is happening in that unit that they are analyzing, and maybe there is still a gap that maybe the study is not covering, even recognizing that they have a very straightforward analysis step direction. In the fourth, they say that participants stated that they took 4 factors into consideration for lesson planning. They stated that they may sure that the lesson plans were interesting, applicable, compatible with STEM fields, and suitable for student levels. This is like a table that shows how they show the main theme, their division and categories, the codes that they took for each category, and the weights. There is some weights and how present they are in the whole set of the data, and some quotations that illustrate that particular code. So the process, as I said, is very straightforward and clear. In the fifth question, they say that participants stated that they employ different STEM activities, robot design, biomimicry, computer-less coding, and design for waste materials. Participants stated that they face the various difficulties during STEM activities, such as poor time management, easily distracted students, and lack of material. And the strategies and methods and techniques for STEM activities, they say that participants say that they use different strategies, methods and techniques during STEM activities. They mostly use it presentation and learning through research and inquiry strategies, design-based, project-based, and play way method of learning methods, and experiment and brainstorming techniques as different strategies designed by them. The same about we said about the coding. In the A, they say participants were grouped under 2 categories, crossing 7 codes. They said that mostly used rubrics as an alternative measurement and evaluation method, when they used the question answer and conventional measuring. Participants said that STEM, the program, improved their professional competence in numerous ways, such as content knowledge, planning, education and training, management and training process, and personal professional development in training also, because they say that they were also difficult. So what happened in there is still matter of my questioning about this article and how they were proceeding. What we can say is they are very clear in their analysis. Their analysis is clearly described, and they show in the results clearly the theme, categories, codes corresponding to each category, and what they are illustrating. But in terms of answering the research question, it is not so clear. Um, how is that piece of analysis of the teacher's knowledge? And maybe they are taking a too broad approach to search for the problem. And maybe an interesting point is how the activity, the design process of activity could be inquired in order to give answer to that point that seems not only less covered, but even contradictory, and in the analysis of the answers that they are presenting, because teachers are saying that they received enriching for the content knowledge, for example, but they are saying at the same time that they lack content knowledge. So this is maybe a piece that is not covered and is not completely maybe answering the research question, given that most recent analyses are showing, for example, new methods to cover those pieces that are maybe are missing in that article. And that is the what we can show about that article by Yili Dream, made with professional development programs for teachers in Turkey. The past one was done by in a early childhood education program in southern United States. I stop my sharing here and then show the third article. And I wanted to show that third article by one reason. That reason is that, so I am sorry, I'm so sorry. This is the third article. This is the article because that third article have a difference with the other two also in the analysis, data analysis, qualitative data analysis realms, because there is designed from the beginning more close to all the things that we've learned about qualitative research in general. And that is reflected also in the analysis that they choose to show to us. And it begins, since the abstract, they say that the purpose of the study, they say in this article, we document the process of co-construction within the readiness through integrative science and engineering curriculum PD approach. In doing so, we hope illuminate process potentially and work within the black box of PD. We will show, they will show what they are referring to us with that. And advancing in the article, it's very detailed on the process. And they say, for example, from the research objectives, that the main goal of the present article is to respond to the call for a better understanding of the black box of effective PD by documenting a model of co-construction. Black box because many studies, they report PDs, effects of PDs, but not details of the PDs that could make the change that they are reporting. So they address that point of, say, what are the details that how PD, the professional development program, are made that could maybe contribute to the change that they are reporting. And they say that the analysis reporting there is guided by two research objectives: to operationalize the dimensions of co-construction, and to provide empirical evidence of manifestation across four key contexts during the initial 3 years of the RISE project. Parent research dialogues during year 1, teacher-researcher interaction in PD workshops across all 3 years, teacher-parents interactions during discussion and learning groups are called 3 years, and 4 teacher-coach and teacher-teacher interaction in PLC meeting across years 2 and 3 on the project. This project involved participants of some voluntary parents and teachers on Head Start scenario settings. And that's interesting because it's a very participatory also. And they giving some prompts, they show how they develop their own actions, maybe answering the question or beginning to answer the question that is not covered, for example, in the past article that we were showing. And they saw that the data were analyzed in 2 steps. In the first step, our objectives was to document operationalize dimensions of co-construction to develop the model. In the second step of analysis, we provide empirical evidence for the manifestation of co-construction about across 4 RISE contexts during the initial 3 years of the RISE project. Given that the model was developed through the process of grounded theory analysis, here we integrated description of the analytic steps and outcomes, and each step of the grounded theory process resulted in a sequentially more fully specified and operationalized model of co-construction. Then in the results section, we address the second objective, to present evidence on how the different steps of the model were manifest across the 4 RISE contexts. It's clear since the beginning that they are pursuing how they could make an adequate description that doesn't exist, and it is consistent with the approach using grounded theory, because grounded theory is to create theory from the data almost from scratch. And this is what they are presenting here. And they say that they had different phases for that. They say that have open coding process, and the using for that Atlas TI tools, and different process with data units of analysis. And given that this is a very extended process, they made different rounds of coding and recoding in order to get a more piece with more sense. And they are going to the data and going to the conclusions and going back and forth between them, and they are showing us how they do that kind of process. And they show also that in all that process that they are following, they show, as you could see when I was crossing, a lot of tables showing that correspondence between codes and the big categories that they were using. And we can conclude from that article by McWayne and colleagues made in a Head Start scenario in northeastern United States, with a community that have multilingual learners that are dual language learners that are non-native. Their parents are, many of them, non-native English speakers, many of them native speakers of Spanish or Chinese. They showed us a transparent process. And this is what is very important in this article, is because they have a very straightforward presenting of how they analyze the data. The article is very extended. You can see that it is a full 46 pages, and maybe half of them is presenting analysis. And it is interesting also because they showed us that, for example, they have a positionality issues also covered because they recognize that they, as research, could have some bias, and they hired for the process. They made with just two of the researchers and the hiring of four doctoral students not familiar with the topic in order to perform the analysis tasks. And they made that in a very conscious way, encoding, recoding different rounds. And this is a very important uh, characteristic that has that article. This is what we have about those three articles and how they are reflecting that in their qualitative data analysis. Big conclusion is that all of them present a very straightforward analysis, and they are very good models for our studies proposals about how to present data analysis in qualitative research. Um, the third of them, but McWayne and collaborators, are more clear in answering the research question or objectives as they present. The other ones, they research, they answer the research questions. But for example, the first one by Kim and collaborators have little lack of positionalities to analytical also. And the second one lacks of some clarity about how they analyze some critical points. So they are clear, but they are still missing some parts to completely answer the research question. And that's my conclusion. And the video ends here. Thanks you for your attention. Thank you so much.